Hey, hi, hello, welcome or welcome back to the channel. My name is Amy and I have a reading curse. I am sure that we all have reading habits that are less than ideal, and mine is that I struggle to finish series. I love picking up a series, but the problem is that I get so invested that I hate to see the end coming, and so I just don't. What I typically do is I will read the books right up until the second last book, and then the last book just stays unread forever, because in that way it just never ends. And that obviously becomes a problem for me. So I have decided that it is time to break the reading curse. It is time to actually find out what happens in the Farseer Trilogy by Robin Hobb. Robin Hobb is a renowned fantasy writer, and when I read this book for the first time, I completely understood why. Her character building is incredible. The way that she handles political intrigue just absolutely blew my mind. I was so invested from the very beginning right up until the very end. In this one, we follow young Fitz. Fitz is a royal bastard, and when he is dropped off at Buckkeep Castle, everyone kind of hates his guts. And the king decides that in order to make him useful, he will train him to be a royal assassin. And Fitz, in that case, in order to learn what he needs to learn to become useful to the kingdom, needs to swear his allegiance to the king. And everything goes off from there. We are on the brink of a civil war. We get to see Fitz grow up and mature, and it's just overall a really good time. But I will tell you less and show you more. So I'm going to hand you to the very capable Amy of the past, and we can get this reading vlog started. Hi friends, lunch hour is here and I have 11 hours of the Farseer Trilogy left. I am already so sad. I am already so sad because it's going to end at some stage and I just don't want it to. I forgot how this book starts out because in my head it's a fully established world, and watching Robin Hobb re-establish it is crazy. There are so many things I've forgotten about. I am not typically a big rereader. I need to check that the mic is on because I filmed a couple of clips with my mic off and then had to redo them. I am not typically a rereader, that's what I was saying. And the reason for that is usually because I feel pressure and I feel guilty because there are so many books on the TBR that I feel like we can't be wasting time rereading books, and I am so wrong. I am willing to admit here publicly, openly, that is so wrong. I am having the best time and I know how everything ends. Well, not the series, but I know how this book ends, and so I am just sitting here marveling at all of the foreshadowing and the Easter eggs and everything that is happening. So highly recommend rereading, highly recommend Robin Hobb. The audiobook is also pretty good. I quite like the narrator. He does call Burrick, and I'm pretty sure that he is correct because I'm sure post-production, these things are checked. However, that man is Burrick, and he will live and die in my mind as Burrick because that is his name and that's how I read it, and I refuse to change the way I pronounce that. So that's that. I have been getting some work done. I also have a Stardew date with my friend tonight, which is super exciting. But yes, love Robin Hobb, love this book, having a great time. This has been an update. Hi, hello. It is Tuesday. It is the start of another week, and I am about 80% through my reread of Assassin's Apprentice by Robin Hobb. I have been listening solely to the audiobook so that I can do other things while I do this reread. So the aim of the game is, because I've read the first two books, I'm going to listen to those two completely via audio, and then hopefully I will read the last book with my eyes. And I am having the best time. It's even better the second time around, which is really, really cool. I was really scared that it wouldn't hold up or that I'd get bored because I know it happens. But that is not the case. I am really enjoying the power dynamics in this book. So I mean that on like an interpersonal level, but also in the broader scheme of things. We follow Fitz, and Fitz is a royal bastard. And if you have read any kind of fantasy, you know that royal bastards are not very popular within their kingdoms. And so Fitz is really struggling and battling with his identity as well as his place within the keep and the kingdom. And it's really interesting to see how Fitz addresses other people and how other people address Fitz, and how that kind of aligns with his journey, his growth during the novel. So I am having a really, really good time picking up on little things like that. So because I am about 80% of the way through, it is about to get intense. We are about to get to the meat, the taties. It is going to be a wild ride. I know what I'm in store for, but I've also kind of forgotten the intricacies of what happens next. So I am very excited to sit down and listen to more of my book. I have about 2 hours, 40 minutes left, so I am hoping to finish that today and get started on the next one. Hi friends, and welcome to Wednesday. So if I look a little bit worse for wear, no I don't. I woke up feeling sick. So John's office got sick, and John was mainlining vitamin C, and he seems to have avoided it. But I will bet all my money I have caught what the rest of his office has, and I'm not impressed about it. So if you would like to send your complaints, send them to HR. I am, however, not here to talk about that. I am here to talk about Assassin's Apprentice. So I finished this bad boy last night and I had the best time. It was so good. I know people have some complaints about the pacing of this book, and I kind of hear you. There is kind of a very slow ramp up towards the end, and then the end just goes crazy. I personally really enjoyed the chaos. I really enjoyed having all the context I could possibly want to have about the political climate of this world, as well as our main character and how he's feeling and doing and where he's at. I think it's really impressive that I had that much context, and I still have questions. I still want to know some things. There are some things that need to be answered, and I'm not entirely sure if I'm going to get that in this series, because one of my main burning questions is about the Fool. If you know, you know. And I know that there is an entirely different series called Fitz and the Fool. I don't know if that's the series name, but I think that is book one's name. And so I'm kind of not sure if my questions about the Fool are going to be answered in the Farseer Trilogy, but only time will tell. So after finishing this, I picked up Royal Assassin. I picked it up pretty much immediately. I think I got through the prologue, and something I really enjoy about the Farseer Trilogy, and I don't know if Robin Hobb does it throughout all of her series. So if you read Dune, you'll be familiar with the kind of epitaphs that come before every chapter. In this one, we are reading Fitz's diary, essentially, and he kind of gives us a broad overview of context we might need for the rest of the chapters. It reads kind of like a historical text, which is pretty cool. He gives us his opinions and musings on what was happening during the time. He gives it from like a historical point of view, and every now and then he just throws in a little spoiler. He just throws in a little, well, this is going to happen, and I love it. I eat it up every time. I think it's so much fun. And I know that some people skip the little excerpts at the beginning of the chapters when they read books and they have them. I would highly recommend you don't do that, because they're actually so much fun. So Royal Assassin is a little bit chunkier than the Assassin's Apprentice, and I have no complaints, no notes, because this just means that we get more characters, it means we get more political intrigue, and I am here for all of it. So we have a work day ahead of us that allows us to read while we work, which is very exciting. So I'm going to get to work, I am going to get to reading, and then I will check in with you a little bit later. Hi friends, we need to talk about Royal Assassin by Robin Hobb, because I finished this last night, and I had finished it before, but for the life of me, I could not remember how this book ended, and that is because I didn't like the ending. I think I blocked it out. I didn't want to remember it ending that way. And I did what any sane person in my position would do, and I went and I read all of the reviews. And I am shocked and bewildered and confused because this book gets a higher overall rating than Assassin's Apprentice, which I disagree with personally. And people seem to love the ending. They seem to think that the rest of the book was really slow, but that the ending had them hooked. And I felt the exact opposite way. I want to put the claims that Robin Hobb is a slow-paced author to bed, to rest. I don't understand, because to me, Robin Hobb is in her element when she is like slowly plotting and planning things, and I am the most intrigued when it feels like there is nothing much happening, because that's simply not true. I also think the subtlety with which Robin Hobb tells the story makes sense for our characters, because we are living through Fitz, and Fitz is, after all, an assassin, and so he really has to do things on the down low. And so I don't understand why people are saying that it is a slow book, because I was on the edge of my seat until the very end. The end lost me completely, but everything before that point had me absolutely hooked. This book has, I think, 33 chapters and an epilogue. She lost me at chapter 29. That's where everything, in my opinion, started kind of falling apart. Not falling apart so much as that I am now uninterested in finishing the trilogy. I still really need to know what happens next. And I am really disappointed, because this was a 5-star and the ending was a 3-star. And so together, I guess it's just a 4-star overall. So I still have questions that I need answers to. John has questions that he needs answers to, because I have been telling him every detail along the way. And so we're going to jump straight into Assassin's Quest. But Royal Assassin was not it for me. Yes, this is a new reading chair. Thank you so much for noticing. It is, however, not ours. It belongs to John's parents. They weren't using it, and so we got to haul it to our little place. So I will have to give this chair back, and I'm going to be heartbroken the day that it happens. But that is in the future, and while I will not dwell in the future, I am very good at dwelling in the past. So I had a plan, and the plan was to finish the entirety of the Farseer Trilogy in 2 weeks. Was this an ambitious plan? Yes. Yes, it was, because I had other stuff to do, and we had a house guest, and it was chaos. Did I still think I could somehow do it? Also, yes. Did I do it? No. No, the plan, as usual, has gone to shit. And so here we are. It is the next week. It is Monday, and I am still not finished. But I have started. I have read about 150 pages of Assassin's Quest so far, and it's not going too good. I am really gutted to say this, but I'm not enjoying this book so far, and that really kills me. So my problem with this book at the moment is threefold. Number one, I had a sneaking suspicion that something was going to happen, and that it was going to be a really big part of the book, and it already happened, and it was kind of unsatisfying in that way. Number two, we're being introduced to new characters. Robin Hobb has had the gall and the audacity to try and make me care about characters in the last book of the trilogy, which I personally find very disloyal and kind of disheartening, because there are characters that I care about. So the fact that I'm being introduced to new characters just kind of makes me really sad, because I don't care about their story, and I'm finding it very hard to be invested in their story, because I have so many other burning questions that their questions are just not of importance to me at this point in time. I also have found that this book follows, for me, the Harry Potter effect. And what I mean by that is, of the protagonists that we follow within the Harry Potter series, Harry Potter is probably my least favorite character. And so being stuck in his head and seeing his POV the entire time gets kind of frustrating. And I am finding the same with Fitz, which is not to say that I don't like Fitz. It is not to say that Fitz is a bad character. It's just to say that there are other characters within the series that I like a lot more. And not knowing what is happening with them is killing me softly. And I am distraught, but not in any of the good ways I wanted to be distraught. Does that make sense? Because this is supposed to be the end. Everything's supposed to be coming together, and instead I just feel like introducing things at this stage of the game is making me feel further away from the story, which is really sad, because I was really enjoying this trilogy, and I really wanted to be invested, and I I think wanted to be invested is the wrong turn of phrase, because I am invested. I'm just not invested in the new people. So I don't know. There's still a lot of this book left. It is about 800 pages. As I have said, I am 150 deep. And so Robin Hobb still has time to pull it back, to change my mind. And I'm really, really hoping that she can do it, because I have already bought the next trilogy in the realm of the Elderlings, like saga. So I would be really sad if I was disheartened to continue with that. Anywho, that is enough of my rambling. I have some stuff I need to do, but hopefully later today I can reward myself and you with some reading, and hopefully for my own sake I will start enjoying everything a whole lot more. But for now, hi, happy Monday. It is so nice to have you here, and while I am kind of disappointed that I didn't finish the thing in the timeline that I wanted to finish it, it is very cool that we are still hanging out. So thanks for being here. We are back in the reading chair. It is Tuesday, and absolutely no progress has been made. I think I'm at the point where I am procrastinating picking up this book because I don't like where it's going. So we need to get over that. I have a couple hundred pages left of this bad boy, and I would like to have it finished by Saturday so that I can edit everything and then post on Sunday. Therefore, we have quite a lot that we still need to do, and so I have cleared up some time in my schedule, and we are going to dedicate the next 3, maybe 4 hours to doing some reading. I have a warm drink, I have an open mind, and I am ready to see what Fitz gets up to. It's Wednesday, my dudes. So I came to the realization that I probably wasn't going to be able to finish reading Assassin's Quest before Saturday because there's just too much happening. Well, tonight we have dinner with my parents, and then tomorrow I have dinner with a friend from out of town, and then on Saturday it's date night, and so that really only leaves us Friday evening to do some reading and the little bits I can do in between. So I decided that I was just going to have to film a different video instead. I was long overdue for a Q2 wrap-up. I filmed that wrap-up months ago, and then I couldn't use any of the footage because there was no audio. And so I had to refilm it, but I'd already filmed it like twice that day because I wasn't happy with the first take, and it had me down and out, man. It was also just a particularly rough quarter, so I didn't read much, didn't feel good about that, and there were just a whole bunch of things. But it's done. The footage is exporting as we speak, and while that happens, I think I am going to continue with Assassin's Quest. I have a little bit of a break, a little bit of a slow moment, and so I am going to use that to get some reading done. Why, hello, good morning. It is Thursday, and I do feel the need to announce that because I woke up this morning and I had no idea what day of the week it was, and I'm trying to decide if that means I slept really poorly or if I slept really well, and jury's not out yet. We are in a situation, that situation being that we have no electricity, and there is a decision that needs to be made. That decision being, do I work on my laptop until it dies and consider that best job done? Or do I preserve the battery of my laptop to charge the other devices that no doubt will need charging at some stage today? Who knows? But I feel really tired. I don't really feel sleepy tired, just like socially tired. I have been cosplaying as an extrovert for the past week and a bit, and it's getting to the reserves. The reserves are drained. But they can't be drained because I have dinner with a friend tonight, and I am then going to go watch my cousin do a choir performance on Friday, and then John and I have a date on Saturday. And everything just feels like it's compounded. Why are people always available all at the same time? What's up with that? Can I petition to make that not a thing? Because as an introvert, I find that very difficult because obviously I want to see my friends and obviously I want to go out with John, and these are all things that are objectively fun, but at the same time, at what cost? I'm like, whoa. It's been such a long week and it's been such a fun week, but I also want a nap, you know? So I think given that that is the emotional state, we're going to preserve the battery of my laptop and we're going to read instead. I am about almost at the halfway mark of Assassin's Quest. And listen, I am enjoying it a whole bunch more, which is nice. That is a relief. However, am I still pissed off that we're like halfway through the last book in the trilogy and we're still getting new characters? Yes. Yes, that pisses me off immensely. So there's that. I think Fitz is so dumb sometimes, and by sometimes I mean a lot of the time. There is a thing that's happened, and I won't tell you what the thing is, but it means something, and Fitz is yet to clock what is going on. So we leave him be. It'll all slide into place. It's just really frustrating because there are a couple of these points in the series where something is clearly happening and it's very obviously happening, and Fitz is just taken aback when the pieces finally click into place. And I've been shouting this thing at him for the past like book and a half, So that is happening. We have to contend with Fitz, and Fitz could be smarter. He really could. So I am liking the new character that Robin Hobb has introduced. I think she's a great time, but it doesn't quite make up for the fact that there are other characters that I would rather be spending time with, So we shall see. I am just glad that I am enjoying it more than I was enjoying it. That is a relief. So without further ado, I guess we go read. I think I might set up a little reading nook outside. The weather is lovely today. I am in my comfiest clothes, because that's another thing about being social is you have to wear outside clothes all the time. And so I have been wearing outside clothes, and now I just get to relish the inside clothes until I have to get dressed for dinner tonight. So that is what we are going to do. I will see you a bit later, I guess. Hello, happy Sunday. Today is going to be a reading day. I have about 200 pages left of Assassin's Quest and I plan on finishing the series today, and I am very afraid, but with it I will break my curse. The last book in a series is always just so cutthroat, and people do tend to take the kill your darlings a little more literally. Or a little more seriously in the last book of a trilogy, and so I just skip out of it because it hurts my feelings. So that is what we're going to be doing today. I have about 200 pages left, if you can see the little bookmark. And before we get reading, I would just love to tell you about date night. We had date night yesterday, and John and I do a cyclical date night. So he'll do 1 week, I'll do the next week. We have a little date night jar with prompts in it. We pull a prompt and then we plan the date. It's pretty simple, but John did such a good job with his. We went to the museum, and I love a museum. I used to be a museum rat as a child, to the point where I had my 8th birthday party at the same museum that we went to yesterday, and so it was just a very nostalgia-laden trip. We had such a good time. The idea was that we had our sketchbooks with us and we were going to draw our favorite exhibits. However, with the 3.5 hours that we had, we didn't even finish our first full loop because we like reading the little information, plaques that come with the exhibits. So as much as we didn't get to do what we wanted to do, we still had a grand old time. My favorite bits were the bird exhibits, so they have a very extensive bird collection. and as a collector myself, I find that very impressive. There is something called a fairy flycatcher, and it is exactly as cute as you think it is. It is dinky and just, it's so precious. And John did a year of geology, and so we had to go look at all of the cool rocks. He was in his element. He was so excited. It was so precious. But that was date night. I get to pull a prompt out of the jar for next week, so I think we will do that together as friends. Here we have the date jar. I am going to pull out of it.
So I'm going to stick it up here, and let's see what we get. Here we go.
Prompt is pulled. Let's read it together as friends. You can read it first, because I like you. Okay, what have we got? Buy and plant a little herb garden. This is perfect because I already actually have all of the herbs that I would have wanted. We were going to do a little garden party a couple of weeks ago and it fell through because we had no power. So that is perfect. I already have everything kind of set up, and that's going to be really cute for this week. We're also just coming into spring, so I think it's a good time to get things planted. So that was fun. Thank you for doing that with me. I am going to go read my book and potentially cry my eyes out. I am having a better time with this book. I am drawn in once again. The political intrigue is there for me. I am really hoping that we get to see my friends sooner rather than later, but only time will tell. I can't tell you too much about what is happening in the book, especially not where I am, without giving, everything away. So I won't, but know that Robin Hobb has me in a chokehold, and I may owe her an apology for what I said earlier in the video. There are 100 pages left of Assassin's Quest, and friends, I am worried. I am concerned for my own well-being because I really don't want to walk away not liking this series, but I am worried that that is going to be the case. And I was so on board to just blindly love Robin Hobb because A, she's a woman in fantasy, love that for her, and B, all the hot girl smart girls love Robin Hobb, and I also want to be a hot girl smart girl. But I have problems, I have issues, and I have less than 100 pages to get over those issues and or for the issues to be resolved, and I simply don't think that it is possible. I don't think it is possible with the page count that we have left. So without spoiling anything within the book, I am going to try and talk about what my fears are and what some of those problems for me, or where some of those problems are lying for me specifically. Everything is very dire at this point in time, and I don't see how there is enough pages for our characters to work it out and come to a conclusion. The magic system. I am so okay to follow a magic system that's just vibes. I don't need to know how your magic system works. That's fine. If we have a magic system and my enjoyment depends on my ability to suspend my disbelief, I can 100% suspend that disbelief and just live in the whimsy of the moment. That is so cool. But I am also more than okay to really sink my teeth into a magic system, and in understanding how it works, understand how it affects the characters, and in understanding how it affects the characters, understanding how it affects the plot. I am okay with that. I am okay with putting in that work. I am okay with being confused, and I am okay with long glossaries of words that I don't understand because they are not of the English language. I can do that. What I am struggling with right now is that it seems to be a little bit of both, because our main character uses magic that he doesn't understand. And I would be okay with him having magical abilities and not understanding it if our attention wasn't constantly drawn to the fact that he doesn't know how this magic works. And having a character that needs to figure out a magic system and have it not figured out by book 3 in the trilogy is kind of frustrating for everyone. It is frustrating for the main character, it is frustrating for the people around him, and it is frustrating for the reader. So the problem here is that the workings of the magic system is integral to the plot, and therefore we are aware of it. But also we're not able to answer any questions about it. And that is not a vibe. I am not having a good time with that part of it. I am concerned that I am just never going to know how this magic system works. And having read 3 books that are sold as a complete trilogy and still have that question, It seems a little suspect to me. Having said that, I am aware that the Farseer Trilogy is part of a larger series. I know that it is part of the Realm of the Elderlings series, and so I know that there are more books in which these questions can be answered, and I'm probably going to read them to find out if that is the case. But I do feel a little bit disenchanted with the fact that we have come this far and that I still don't really know how it works. It's just magic, TM. So I'm going to finish the last 100 pages. I'm going to hope to the high heavens that it ends in a way that is satisfactory, and I am going to beg that after this we will want to pick up the Live Ship Traders series, which is the one that happens after this chronologically within the Realm of the Elderlings saga. That is the plan. Let's go do it. I finished Assassin's Quest and my feelings are hurt. I am so conflicted because I did not love the ending. I don't even think I liked the ending, and that hurts my feelings because I invested so much time and hope and belief that if anyone could solve the problem, Robin Hobb could, and I was let down. The problem with the ending was that to me it wasn't satisfactory, and I have been defending Robin Hobb's plotting and pacing tooth and nail, but I really did feel it in this one. I really feel like we could have left out some of the things that happen in the middle and really just added that page count to the end, you know? There are a couple of characters that we meet that never get mentioned again, and it was really strange meeting them for the first time because, as I've said, introducing new characters in the last book of a trilogy is it's a wild decision. And knowing that they had actually very little to no impact on the plot is just maddening. It doesn't feel good. And I know that this world continues and we might see them again in another one of the trilogies, but I just feel like it was the wrong time and the wrong place to introduce them. I also feel conflicted because I stand by the fact that Robin Hobb is really good at creating political intrigue. She's really fantastic at writing characters that I care so much about. She's really good at building relationships in a very slow, subtle way. But maybe endings aren't her strong point, and I am trying to decide if that is okay. I am trying to decide when or if I will continue with the Realm of the Elderlings saga. But right now the jury is not out. I feel so bad for ending this video on such a low note, but what we are not going to do is lie about how we felt about books. I also just feel so silly because I have recommended the Assassin's Apprentice to everyone. I thought it was so good, and knowing that I don't even like the end of this series is a little bit sad. So my question for you is, have you read any Robin Hobb? Did you read this trilogy? Were you disappointed by the ending, or is it a me thing? And if you have any opinions on whether or not I should continue with the Realm of the Elderlings series, please do let me know down below. I would also love to know if you liked this kind of content. This is a bit longer than my other videos, but I really enjoyed making it, so let me know if you guys are vibing with it. If you would like to see me finish more series, please let me know down below. If you are still watching, I really appreciate you. Thank you so much for being here, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.